do it. Let's talk about habits. And this is really about, I think of it in terms of like harnessing our zombie brain for good. And we're gonna unpack the science around habits in order to become more of like a habit ninja than a zombie. And by the way, SS, this came up as a topic out of your request to look at motivation. And for whatever reason, my brain was urging me to do this piece first. So, ooh, Yeti dude, interesting. So when I experience, so boredom for me is uncomfortable. Yay, you're welcome. Boredom for me is uncomfortable, and I assume that most of us experience it that way. And so we tend to, as soon as we start to feel bored, we're like, oh no, I'm not gonna just sit in the boredom and experience it as an act of courage, right? And instead, I'm gonna go do whatever we do to not be bored, right? Like play games, watch TV, listen to podcasts, call a friend. And it's not like any of those things are bad in and of themselves. They're not. They're not as good for us when we're using them to escape an opportunity to lean in and learn from boredom, right? Or learn from our adversity. So yeah, it's part of the reasons why I struggle so much with meditation and yet see it as such a beautiful opportunity, because that meditation is very boring. And much of what I think you're doing when you're sitting down and meditating is you're learning to stay in the boredom and not itch it, not like escape from it. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I find this endlessly fascinating. Could talk about this literally forever, and probably like just keep going in a circular way where we don't learn a whole lot more. But I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I wanted to dive into the science of habits today. And of course, like if you are a sub or you are a patron on Patreon, you have access to, or will have access to, I think at 12:30 it gets pushed out, the worksheet that accompanies all this information. So if you're fortunate enough to be a sub or a patron, you don't need to take a bunch of notes. It's all there. You can, just enjoy it that way. You also, guys, there's on our YouTube channel, there is already, actually, I think it's getting, again, 12:30 Pacific time, there will be a shortened version of this so that you don't have to necessarily sit through an entire Twitch VOD to get at the juicy stuff that you might want to apply in your life. So that's how we try to make it nicer for you guys. Yeah. So, okay. Habit formation. What? And for those of you who are with us in Habitica, I'm hoping that this will prove particularly helpful in how you set up your like daily habits and that kind of stuff. So habits, you guys, are, when we think about them, they are a automatic, recurring decision-making process that's happening really subconsciously. It doesn't require us to effort the action. So it is, in that sense, like zombies eating brains. Like they just do it, right? They're not thinking about it, they just do it. So our habits are us on autopilot. And we use this, it's an incredibly beneficial mechanism in our brain to help us navigate the countless upon countless decisions we have to make every single day. So really, like, imagine if our choices, like each and every choice, required conscious effort. We would be so overwhelmed by that energy lift that we would either like become frozen by our indecision or our backlog or like decision fatigue. It would literally be impossible and we would die. Yeah, we would die. So, okay. So, science and habits, and how we can use that science to help us power up. Here's the thing about habits. They are either constructive or destructive. So they're good for us and bad for us. So from here on out, when I say a habit is good or a habit is bad, I don't mean like ethically, right? Like there's no judgment attached to that. All I'm saying is one is beneficial for you and your well-being, and then there are the habits that are not beneficial for your well-being. So again, no judgment with good and bad. It's simply a statement of whether or not it's increasing your well-being or decreasing it over time. So habits are automatic responses to contextual cues, right? So a cue can be almost anything as long as it's frequent and consistent in daily life. So yes, great. I will do my best to say positive and negative. I still think there's room in the negative for people to like judge it, right? And I take the time to pause around this because, I mean, judging, it just sucks. Like it is a bad habit, right? In and of itself. And it's something that we use to tear ourselves down, and it's not something that is conducive to our well-being, and we all do it, and our societies encourage us to do it. So, yeah. Okay. But a good point. Positive, negative may be less judge triggering than good and bad. So almost anything can be a cue. Yeah. As long as it's like frequent and consistent in our daily life for habits. So this could be an event, like waking up in the morning, or I guess like eating is like eating lunch. Like if we drive to work, our commute, right? So it could be a location. So in the shower, like at school. It could be a mood, boredom, anxiety, happiness, right? And it can be a time of day, like I said, waking up is an event. It's also a time of day, that kind of stuff. So those are your cues, and your cues over time get associated with the actions you're repeatedly taking at that time. And depending on whether or not that action is increasing your well-being or decreasing your well-being, it's considered positive or negative, good or bad. So here are some examples, right? So a cue would be like getting into your car. A positive response would be buckling your seatbelt. A negative response would be like lighting up your cigarette. Feeling bored, like Yeti Dude mentioned. A positive action could be meditating. Like whenever I'm bored, I'm going to meditate and train in staying in that emotion. A bad response would be binge watching Netflix. Let's see some other ones, like seeing a loved one, right? Like getting together with a loved one. A good automatic response would be hugging them, right? And then a negative automatic response would be like getting on your cell phone and not really listening to them when they talk, right? Also likewise, then meeting a stranger. Shaking hands is often a positive automatic response, whereas like standing in that person's space bubble the entire time you're talking is maybe a negative automatic response. So you can see that some of these they're subjective, right? It's what's true for you. Waking up in the morning, like I mentioned, maybe maybe that's a cue for you to exercise, or maybe that's a cue for you to drink a soda. Loneliness, maybe that triggers you getting on your phone and calling a friend, or logging on a Twitch and hanging out with your community. Maybe it triggers binge eating. So, yeah. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, right? Like at the heart, a habit is an action that's triggered by a cue. So here's the thing. Any action in response to that triggering cue, given enough time and consistency, becomes habitual, and it will happen automatically. All right, so how much time does it actually take to form a new habit? Contrary to popular belief, it is not 21 days. It is not 21 days. That is a fallacy. It is an urban myth that seems to have originated from like stories of how long it took plastic surgery patients to adjust to their new appearance. So it was anecdotal. That is not a reliable scientific study. Anecdotes are in general for finding fact. So yeah, it's not 21 days. When they actually did a test to find out how long does it actually take, what they found is it's anywhere between 18 days, woohoo, that's awesome, and 284 days. Boo, boo, not awesome. That's a really long time. It's almost a year. Okay, but the average amount of time it took to establish a new habit was 66 days. So like a little over 2 months. That's not terrible. No. So it seems like a heavy lift, right? And I guess what I can say to that is it's worth it. One, it gets progressively easier as you go. So you don't have to wait till day 284 or day 66 to like feel less exertion or less use of your willpower, right? It gets progressively easier as you go. And it's worth it because once your habit is actually established, that action doesn't require any motivation and happens effortlessly. Effortlessly, you guys. So the other thing that I thought was really encouraging out of the research is that if you miss a day here or there, that is okay. It's not gonna fuck everything up, right? It will result in a dip in the like automation the day after your miss, but there shouldn't be any long-term adverse effect. So don't worry about stumbling, right? Just keep at it. Like the science has got your back. Just keep at it. Don't use that as an excuse to like give up and start it again next week or next month. Just keep at it. Any questions? I think we're good. I think we're good. I think you guys would be asking if you had them. Really, it's just an excuse to drink my tea. All right, wonderful. You guys are beautiful. Okay, so how do we use this research, this body of knowledge to process this as a life hack, right? And really power up. So because habits are dependent on contextual triggers, they are vulnerable to change. And that's awesome. Oh, you guys, I forgot. I had an image. Woo woo. Let me know if you want the doggies back. But there you go. So side note, if you are in the position, are you kidding? Oh no. I can't, like just yesterday she was going to the doctor with like all kinds of horribleness and she was feeling good enough for school. Man, I wish I was a kid again and got better that fast. Oh, please give Army my love. Hi, Army. If for whatever reason, you guys, you find yourself in a position where you really need to or want to implement a bunch of habitual change at one time, that is a heavy lift. And one thing you can do to increase your likelihood of succeeding is to tie it to a like major life-changing event, like moving, or even moving or starting a new job. And the reason why this is helpful is because so much of your daily routine is changing that a lot of your normal cues are not going to be there anymore. So if you have cues associated with a bunch of bad habits, it is helpful just to remove those cues as much as possible. And moving can do that. A new job can do that. If you are able to, you could travel for, the time frame of your new habits. that is totally not easy to do. I understand, but I just wanted to let you guys know about it since that's one of the things that research was indicating. Okay, so habits. How do we actually become a habit ninja? What do we do? Oh yeah, Scott said something. Oh, she probably just got, yeah. Maybe tomorrow she gets better fast. Yeah, it was so sad seeing her with her pink eye. Looks so painful. Okay, so you can change your bad habits or implement new good habits through a technique called implementation intentions. Sounds fancy. I'm gonna break it down. Oh, that's right. It is Saturday. Then she'll be great for Monday. Okay, so. A lot of what I'm speaking about here, I found in a book by a man named Dr. Greger. And the book is How Not to Diet, which I love this book, and can't recommend it enough. But he, in particular, is someone who I really admire and follow because, how to explain Dr. Greger? He has a team of incredibly astute and stringent researchers that comb through all of the studies on like diet and nutrition and longevity in our health and curate or like translate all of that stuff into like tidbits that lay people can understand. So they're doing an amazing job cutting through a lot of like the misinformation that's out there around diet and nutrition and also like being very, very honest about what we don't know yet. So I really appreciate the work that he does. And in this book, he had this amazing chapter on how to change our habits. So if you like what I'm saying, I recommend the book, and you can check out, like, even if you just read the chapter on the habit stuff, it's really good. So I'm going to quote him a couple times here, and here's the first quote. So he says that implementation intentions are specific if-then plans to perform a particular behavior in a special context. All right, that was a mouthful. They take the form of, when situation X arises, I will perform Y response. So, if the triggering circumstance, the cue, is a regular daily occurrence, implementation intentions can be the beginning of a beautiful habit. So here, to break it down super simply, the implementation intention is when X, I will Y. And when X is your cue. So when I wake up in the morning, I will insert habit. When I go to bed at night, when I brush my teeth, I will insert habit. I will insert habit, right? So it's your cue and your reaction, the action you're gonna take. When X, I will Y. Super simple, you guys. Super, super simple and really effective. So let's look at this through the lens of bad habits. Negative habits. Yeah? Okay. So to change a negative habit, you can focus on removing that habit's cues from your life, and this is very helpful. So this is why addicts are encouraged to throw out their drugs and even change their friends. And it's also why people on diets are encouraged to get rid of all the junk food in their house, right? You want to take all of your cues and do your best to just remove them, because if you don't have the cue, you're not going to engage in the habitual action. So that's why, like I said, moving or doing a new job is often helpful in big lifestyle change, because it takes all of your current cues and really throws them out the window, or a lot of them. But you can also change a bad habit by changing the action via your when X, I will Y. So if, for example, when you get in the car in the morning, you light up a cigarette and you would like to quit smoking, then you can't necessarily remove the car from your life. right? You may have to get to your job, right? So great, you can't do that. What do? So when I get in the car, I, snack on carrots. I don't know. I, chew on gum, right? Like you replace the bad, the negative habit with a positive option. So for example, if you ate junk food every time you watch TV and you'd like to stop doing that, instead of doing what most of us do and simply saying, oh, like I'm not gonna eat junk food anymore. I'm not gonna smoke anymore. You say something like, when I watch TV, I'll snack on a piece of fruit. So this is the gem here. It's not about not doing something, but it's about choosing a new action, one that supports you. So you're replacing your bad habits with good habits, replacing the negative with positive ones. And so to that end, Dr. Greger also says that to activate the habit-forming mechanism, you likely need a new alternative response rather than a non-response. Evidentially, you can't form a habit of not doing something. So this is so important because my whole life I've been thinking it was not this way, and intuitively I was like, oh, Smarty Girl 7! Thank you! That is so lovely. Thank you. Yay! I so much appreciate it. Yay! Thank you for that. Oh, thank you for saying that. Ojipine. I'm never gonna do handles the way I want to. Thank you for letting me know that's ringing true. And let me know if any of this doesn't, because I would love to learn from you. For sure. Yeah. So when you're taking your negative habit and replacing it with a good one or a positive one, it's going to take time, right? Remember that average of 66 days, but anywhere between 18 and 284 days. So don't lose heart. Like, this is just something that requires consistency and like self-compassion. And it's one of the reasons why I invite everybody to join us in Habitica, because community can really help. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but if you already know what Habitica is and you would like to join us, just email me at punchlifeback@thematrixguard.com and I'll get you set up. Okay, so yeah, you need to repeat that new action day after day, month after month, before it becomes your habit. But it is so worth it, right? Because how cool would it be that if you're doing this consistently over time, within just a couple years, I mean, you could have like 20 some like good habits that have replaced bad habits, and then you've like also just adopted good habits just in and of themselves, and all of a sudden you're, I don't know what it is that you care about doing, but now like writing comes easy to you and you just automatically do it every day, or you like your speed running is getting better, or like you're eating better, or you're sleeping better, like whatever your stuff is. It's like, and you're doing it all effortlessly. Like, that's what I want so bad for me and for you guys, is to have your well-being stuff just happen automatically. Exactly. Yes, SS. Exactly. It's like an evidence-based approach to gentle change. Sometimes it's not like it has to happen all at once, especially I would think that like with addiction, like that's doesn't feel so gentle. Yeah. Yes. Oh, thanks, Yeti Dude, for that. Okay, so we have seen how, that is so, yeah, Smarty Girl 7, like, I'm glad to hear that, because this person struggles so hard with taking it slowly and doing like one foot in front of the other. Like everything in me, like I have major FOMO struggle. So like everything in me is always just wanting to do it all at once. And inevitably, like 90% of the times I fail because it's just too much to take on in one go. So is it? Yeah, well, I'm really glad you have your friend to help you not do that, because I struggle so much with that. There's just something about like being really inspired and motivated to do it all at once that like just takes over, and like some sort of like disbelief that it's the journey that matters, right? And that the real change happens gradually over time. Like I know it because I've seen the research, but there's something in me that's just like, that's bullshit. That applies to everybody but you know? Yeah, patience is not one of my strong suits at all. So I'm encouraged by the fact that you're getting a system with your friend that's working for you. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, we've seen how you can take on good habits by using them to replace bad habits. You can also learn a new habit by attaching it to a cue that isn't associated with a bad habit. So I've mentioned Habitica. So let's think about it in this framework, right? Like what implementation intention, so when X, I will Y, could we use to build a habit around using Habitica? So the way I would approach that is I would think of all the cues in my daily life that I could attach Habitica to. So instead of using it to replace like my junk food eating, because that I don't think will work, it, like intuitively my gut's just like, no. Using it to replace a bad habit, like all the delicious Coca-Colas I like to drink. Wish I didn't, but I do. What cue could I attach it to? Hi, Mrs. Scott! I so wish that for you. I so wish that. And may it just end with army and not spread. So I'm thinking like, okay, I wake up in the morning, and that's been a really successful time where I've like made my green tea every day. That's now a habit that's associated with waking up, and that's good for me. So I could check in with Habitica while I'm waiting for my hot water to boil, right? So I could use, like, I'm basically piggybacking my new habit onto existing positive habits or existing cues. So it could be like when I feel bored, I check out a Habitica. Or when I like first log on to Twitch and I'm like waiting for my favorite streamers to actually begin, I'll just be on Habitica. So I'm sure this is making sense to you guys. Yes. Oh, I can't even, now I'm just thinking of Yeti Dude's comment. Ojipine. Absolutely. And that's what earlier on I was trying to get at. We are hardwired to just instinctually seek out pleasure and avoid pain. I think that's just who we are as human beings, and it makes sense, right? Like it helped us survive as a species. But it's not like conducive to our well-being in the long run. And so yeah, we all have our like self-destructive coping devices. We all have our favorite way of escaping. And sometimes that builds into addictions that, you know, can be really detrimental to our health, but they can also be like these insidiously less dangerous, I try to do my research, less dangerous addictions that nevertheless over time still are crappy for us. So yeah, absolutely. And that's why I was talking earlier about courage. And one of the things that I'm always trying to cultivate in myself and share with you guys is this opportunity to stay, like to recognize the shitty stuff, like the stuff that triggers you and makes you want to escape, and then to start seeing that as an opportunity to get curious. to check in with yourself and just challenge yourself to stay in it. And that starts to shift things over time, and it builds our courage, and we get stronger at doing those kinds of things. And that's why I'm here, because honestly, like, this is all so much harder without community, and that's what you guys give me. So thank you. Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say the easy way, because what am I trying? I guess it does, like, from my experience, it does feel like the easy choice at the time. But it's more than that. It's like the automatic choice. It's tied into this habit, right? Like, because since we were itty bitty, we've been escaping, self-medicating our pain. It's habitual. So it's not even easy. It just happens automatically. And that's exactly it, Mrs. Scott. Yeah, absolutely. Like, once it's a habit, it's a habit. And the danger there is it's automatic. It doesn't require you to be aware of it. You just do it. Like, when I start to get bored, I just binge on episodes of Netflix, which, you know, is like not that horribly destructive, except if I'm bored all the time, right? Then I'm not showing up on stream and I'm not doing the stuff that really matters to me. But it just happens automatically. So yeah, I think this is why I'm doing this episode today, because hopefully we all give ourselves a break and just realize, wow, this is the way my brain works. Okay, like, I'm not a bad person. I'm not weak. This is literally like what it means to be a human being, and this is just what happens. Now that I understand it, there's room in there to start changing where you want to start changing, not where other people tell you should, right? But like, you're basically put in a place of power. Yeah. Me too, SS. We do not naturally want to stay in whatever it is that's, right? We don't. And that's the thing, is they're not always bad, right? Like, watching Twitch isn't in and of itself like a bad thing at all. There's so much good about it. It's how we use these things and why we're using them that either are increasing our well-being or decreasing it. And yeah, it's ultimately that's the thing, is like, it's like Mr. Scott is saying, like, it's up to each of us to take responsibility for our own lives. Like, we have this community to get support and to ask questions and to challenge each other. But ultimately, like, you gotta do the work if you want to do it, right? I have to do the work, too, for myself. Yeah, Smarty Girl, I say it because it's true for me too. Oh, yay! I'm wondering, SS, if there's a way to, like, use Twitch as... okay, so what's coming to me is, like, Twitch is probably both a cue for you and a habit. So I'm about to, like, break down, like, the like, homework, so to speak, of what we all can do. It'll be so interesting to see where your creativity takes you and how to use Twitch and your love of it and all kinds of stuff to start building, like, you know, constructive habits, or minimizing the destructive use of it, so to speak. Yeah. You guys are awesome! This is thank you for this conversation, man. Seriously. I feel like I'm not alone. It's good. Yay! Wait, where'd it go? Yay! Random boogeyman! Of course you did! Mwah, 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 mwah. Thank you! That's awesome. So nice to have you here. Yay! I know. I'm so happy to have you on Habitica. You're inspiring me to also like show up there in a more like consistent, thoughtful way myself. So thank you. Ew, thank you for the gift. Yes. Woo woo. Oh my gosh, Mrs. Scott, I totally missed your comment about how mental illness adds a whole nother layer to this. Yeah, so this is where like I didn't see research on like habit building for people with mental illness versus people without mental illness. So I don't know like what the research might have to say to that, but what comes to my mind is that this theme that we keep touching on of like patience and self-compassion for the whole process, and the idea of starting small, because essentially if mental illness for any of us makes consistency harder, then asking ourselves to do less lifting at any given time is probably beneficial. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see any, but I mean, it's a great thing to look into. And now you've piqued my curiosity, so I'm writing it down. And it's hard because it depends on the mental illness too, right? Oh, this is endlessly fascinating. There's so many layers to this. Okay, you guys. So let's talk about, yeah. And I wonder, like, you know how I was saying that if you miss a day, like, it's not ruining your habit development, that it will make the next day's effort a little bit harder, but that there's no long-term effect. I wonder how true that is if like you miss 2 weeks, so if you're like, I'm just thinking if someone is really depressed and they're not getting out of bed, whereas like the week before they were on fire with their new habits, what would happen there? But I don't have those answers yet. Okay, so putting this into action. Now this is where I'm like, dude, I hope you're a sub or a patron and you have access to this worksheet. If you don't, like, you can take notes, and it's really easy to do on your own once you hear what I'm about to say. And you can watch the shortened videos on YouTube to just like fast forward to this section and take notes if I go too fast. And you can always ask me questions to clarify or slow down. Yeah, and I can only imagine how much of an obstacle that could be. So maybe what to do for those of us that like do experience depression or whatever version of our like mental obstacle is to just take that into account as we do this work, because I think it's just going to help you better understand what your first sustainable step really looks like. So you could anticipate, say, like, worst case scenario, I'm gonna not want to leave my bed, right? Worst case scenario. So given that situation, what of these possible new habits is a good or appropriate match for the energy that I'm likely to have on hand? Does that make sense? So, a hug. Yes. And this is just me spitballing. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, really what we're talking about, Ojiping, is maybe how to use the science of habits to build our healthy coping mechanisms. Which I haven't thought of it in that way before, but I think that fits. And you guys know yourselves better than anyone. So you're gonna have like creative ideas or gut instincts about where to start that I just encourage you to lean into, and like just trust yourselves and know that this is not a perfectible system, right? Like you're going to be testing things and learning from them and readjusting. And if you ever feel stuck in anything that we talk about, like come back and ask me questions. You can email me at punchlifeback@thematrixguard. You can ask in chat, right? You can whisper me. Reach out. Like I am a coach, so I help people problem solve what they're trying to accomplish, right? So, and I would love to be of service. And you can return the favor when I'm stuck. So it's all good. Ooh, recovery dharma. Ooh, I'm writing that down. Thank you. Dharma, such an interesting, like, Buddhist concept anyways that I've been intrigued by before. So it'll be cool to see it from the lens of recovery. That's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. Can't wait. I wish I had like 10 of me. So I just need to stop like that. Like my earlier thing, like, hey, read a book and then you won't have, maybe I haven't said it yet. That might be an example I haven't said yet. So I'm gonna get quiet and just move forward. Hey, Mr. Scott. All of them hanging out with you at once is exactly what you want, and you know it. You would be getting lots of hugs, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I would drink all your green tea. Yeah, see, Smarty Girl, you and I, FOMO. FOMO. I want to be everything and do everything. It is a real problem. Yeah. So true. Okay, so here's the taking the research. This is the process I came up with to start implementing it. Yeah, thank you. Mwah. I got you too. So you want to start by creating a list of all of the negative habits that you would like to change. And the way that I've done this is I have 3 columns. So one is the negative habits. Then you want to make a list of the good, like the positive habits you want to adopt. And then you want to make a list of all of the daily cues you can think of. So again, that's like putting on your shoes, feeling bored, logging onto email, right? Like, oh my goodness, random boogeyman. You are so generous always, and I just hope you know how much that's appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. It's coming! Oh. Random. Thank you very much. So yeah, you have your list of the habits you want to change, the habits you want to add, and then as many daily cues as you can think of. And I think it would be helpful to take this somewhat slowly. So I would encourage you to do it over a couple days, or maybe for the rest of the week, say until I'm back again on Tuesday and you can ask me questions or whatever. But take some time, because the more you can observe your negative habits as they occur in real time, the more you can capture them and learn from them. So for example, I imagine that as I do this for myself, and really all I'm doing is saying, Catherine, be aware of your bad habits, like just an intention to notice them. So I'll start noticing them, right? And when I do, the key is to try to identify the cue that occurred. What was the trigger? So, right, so you're kind of working backwards. It's easier to notice the habit than it is the trigger. So notice the habit and then capture the trigger if you can, because that's what you're going to want to work around, right, with a bad habit. Yeah, VIP access. Yeah, you should be able to connect to our Discord now, and our sub only channel there that has all of these like notes and videos and worksheets and stuff. So yeah, it's awesome. So you want to take your time in doing this, and so you have your, the habits you want to change, the habits you want to adopt, and then the daily cues. And to your best of your ability on the habits you want to change, you're identifying what the cues are that trigger that habit for you currently in your life. So here comes the creative part. Thanks, Mr. Oogie Boogie. Mr. Oogie Boogie became like the most like kind, generous person. I love it. His cape has been flipped, as the fairy godmother would say. So, okay. Once you have your lists, you want to look at the bad habits and you want to pair them with a good habit where it makes sense to do so. So I use the example of like the habit of eating junk when we watch TV. So instead, if I have a habit of wanting to drink more water or eat more fruit or, something that's like similar-ish, I would pair it with that and use it as the replacement behavior. Because remember, just saying I'm not going to do something doesn't work. You can't build a habit around not doing something. So you pair your negative habits with positive habits where you just think it makes sense to do so. And then you're going to create, for whatever positive habits are left over, you're going to create new cue habit statements, right? So when X, I will Y. So you're going to pair your positive new habits with a cue. And again, you know yourself best, so you're going to start just seeing how it maybe makes sense. And I'm here with questions. So that's great. You're going to kind of see this like master plan, right? Once you've done all this work. And you'll see all of these potential changes you can begin implementing. And I should really quick pause and remind you guys that when you are looking at changing your bad habits and you're clear on what those cues are, you want to remove as many cues as possible from your living environment, right? So if you are not wanting to eat junk food, get rid of that stuff from your house. Like, you don't have to see the cookie jar, right? Like, that's not helpful. So do, like, where you can, remove the cue totally. And where you can't, attach it to a good habit, right? Okay, so once you have this, like, roadmap and you see all of these crazy, like, if you're like me at all and you, like, have tons of things you want to change or implement, then it's gonna look really intimidating. And it may be really, really hard to navigate and choose where to start. And we've been talking about how starting gently is important. It's helpful, especially if you have any sort of like mental illness that is an obstacle to consistently doing something, right? Like where maybe you just don't have the energy required to do a big lift at one time. So get rid of the cookie jar. Yes! But I love the cookie jar. That's hilarious. So I'm going to give you another tool that comes out of coaching that specifically came from my coaching school, which was IPEC. And it's a way for prioritizing goals. And it's called AIM. So AIM, and it's an acronym. And it stands for acceptable, ideal, and middle. So what you want to do is once you have the totality of what's possible to change in your life and what you want to change, you want to take yourself through the AIM process. So you want to write down what the minimal amount of achievement is acceptable to you. So that's the A, what's acceptable. What is the bare minimum change that you are okay with? So that's the first step. The second step is you then want to ask the opposite question. Like, what's the ideal maximum result? So for example, adopting all of my good habits and stopping all of my bad habits within 1 year, right? That is really intense. That's how I typically approach things, and that's what makes most of us burn out and give up and not succeed. So it tends to be way too much too fast. But you want to write it down so you understand where it is for you, what that looks like for you. So the final step is the M, which is your middle result. So this is your realistic stretch. It's not so much that you're going to burn out, and it's not so little that you get bored and lose all motivation to stop. This is the place that you normally want to work from. Now, that being said, this all is dependent on who you are, right? And what's unique to you. So like Mrs. Evans was saying, if you have depression and you don't have as much energy to put into change consistently over time, maybe your middle result is a lot less than someone else's middle result, and that's okay, right? Maybe you start with actually the minimum amount of work that's acceptable to you. That's okay. That is absolutely okay. So this is meant as a tool to serve you, not to get in your way. So I hope that makes sense, you guys. I hope. Ooh, I'm getting hungry. Nom nom nom. Lunchtime is soon. Oh, good. Thanks, Smarty Girl. Thank you. Well, it would make sense to you. Your name is Smarty Girl. Yeah. Exactly, SS. So, I'm so glad you said that. There is a trap of comparing ourselves to others, right? And usually, we compare ourselves to others and think we come up short, and that is in and of itself like a destructive mental habit, a destructive way of thinking that doesn't at all give us what we want, which is increased well-being. So yeah, it is a trap that we all fall into from time to time. So I'm glad you're reminding us of how it's not necessarily the best thing. Yeah. We play a smart person. Yes. Totally. Amen to that. Totally. And that's why SSY, things like Facebook and Instagram, all of that can suck so much balls, because that's it. All people are really doing is showing the best version of themselves, right? So, and it also feeds my FOMO. I'm like, what? My friend just went swimming with pigs in the Bahamas. Holy cow, that's now on my, no. Yeah. And we all do it. We all do it. And that's the thing, we treat ourselves in a way that we would never treat somebody we cared about, right? We treat ourselves the worst. Exactly! Oh, well said. Isn't that something, though, that, because we think that, I think I tend to view self-confidence as I either have it or I don't have it based on how people have treated me. what I'm hearing you say, Smarty Girl, is that it's actually how we treat ourselves. And it's the things we say in between here on a daily basis. And that's true. Like, it is absolutely true. Yeah. You guys really are very wise. Or I'm just, have a confirmation bias. I'm like, oh, that's what I believe and they believe it, so it must be true. But it is. It is. And speaking of biases, I have a couple to share with you. Oh yeah. That's it. That is it. Like, we're bullying ourselves. At Play Pretend. So there are 2 biases that we all have, and they all can derail our habit. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to mention them to you guys so you can kind of like be on the lookout for them. And you guys, oh my gosh, if we can help each other catch those biases in the things we say, even better, right? We can help each other out. So the first is called What the Hell Effect. And that's actually the name it has in research, which is wonderful. So the what the hell effect is our irrational, right? These are cognitive biases, so they're irrational. It's our non-logical reaction to overindulging, where we permit ourselves to keep indulging because like the day is already lost, right? So in other words, we've cheated, and so therefore like we can just like let the whole day become a mess because we've already lost the day. So cheating or making a mistake can be so demotivating that we revert to this like all or nothing thinking that isn't accurate. Yeah, this is all lifelong stuff, you guys. Like, age, it's got nothing to do with it. 26 spider teams together. I've never thought about measuring age in spiders. How long does a spider live? How many spider years is 26? Okay, so there are 3 ways we can fight this what the hell effect in ourselves. So the first one is we just lengthen our time frames. So instead of like, thinking in terms of like a day, you can think in terms of a week. So example, if you were like trying to limit yourself to just 1 episode of whatever a day, or 1 like hour of Twitch a day, you could lengthen that to 7 episodes a week or 7 hours a week. And the brilliance here is that if you end up watching like 3 hours in one day, it's not you don't have the what the hell effect of, oh, well, then I can just spend the rest of the day watching. Instead, you go, oh, I have 4 more hours for the rest of the week. Do you see how that kind of buffers it a bit? And that won't always be applicable, obviously. So the second part is, of course, what we've talked about, which is choosing positive goals instead of negative goals. So it's, instead of choosing not to do something, you're replacing that behavior with something good to do. So, here's that example I was thinking I'd already said. So if instead of like limiting the amount of binge watching I do, you can tell I think a lot about this. I could instead set a goal of reading 1 book a week. Well, so in order to do that, I probably don't have that much time to watch TV. You see how that works? And it removes me away from this all or nothing thinking about television. Oh, it is all the journey. Yeah, yes, all good stuff. And then I guess ultimately, the third thing you could do is learn to catch this bias as it happens, which, isn't, that's kind of a hard thing to do, but we can start becoming aware of it more and more over time. And then when we notice it, we can be like, well, that's ridiculous. And you can kind of just laugh it off as being this incorrect thing that our brains just do to us. Do you have to get special permission as a male streamer to stream without your shirt on? I think you do. Peck streamer. Hilarious. Talk about like setting yourself up for comparison. Like, that's why I would never into the realm of boob streaming, man. Because you just, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Ugh. Yeah. Ow, I hit my tooth. Don't laugh and drink at the same time in a glass mason jar, people. Don't do it. All right. Okay, so the second cognitive bias, is called the self-licensing trap. Self-licensing. This is when we justify the indulgence. So it's the thinking of like, well, I did so well this week, so I deserve to fill in the blank, right? Or I was so good, I deserve to cheat. Interestingly, this also includes self-delusion, because the bias is so powerful that it like distorts our memory, and we often are inaccurate about how well we've done, how good we've been when we're presented with temptation. So you can't trust your memory when you're presented with your temptation, which is fascinating. So Dr. Gregor says that even visions of future progress can trigger licensing and undercut our goals. So how many times have you been tempted to slip just this once, resolving to make it up tomorrow, but tomorrow may never come? All the time. That is so me. That is so me. It's like, oh, I'm going to do so good in the future that I don't really actually have to start today. I can start tomorrow, and like, it's just tomorrow. That's not a big deal. And then like tomorrow never comes. I actually call it Tadaro, because it just doesn't happen. It's like a today, tomorrow monster of nothingness. So yeah, and what's super crazy is that the research has found that the people who are most vulnerable to the self-licensing bias are the people that are the most self-disciplined, right? Like, that's counterintuitive and unexpected. They think this is because when you're really self-disciplined, you're super confident. I know, right, smarty girl? Right? So congratulations, you're very disciplined, according to the research. But like, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because if you really, really believe that you can say no tomorrow, then you feel like you're more okay saying yes today, right? Like, if you believe you're not going to derail everything by cheating, then you cheat. Kind of mind-blowing. Kind of mind-blowing. Yeah. So the best way to like counter-punch this bias is to the best of your ability, make your cheating decisions in the present moment, right? Because the trap is thinking about how you're going to handle it in the future, or how well you handled it in the past. So you really want to try to make your decision on like the here and now, like what's the best thing to do in this moment to fulfill your goal, which is often not cheating, right? Like, it's never going to be cheating. Which, of course, like, begs the question of, can cheating ever be okay? Or does it just kind of mess us up? And the answer is that it can be okay when it's planned, like when it's accounted for. So, again, a quote from Dr. Gregor, he says that those who prearrange to give themselves like a certain number of passes every month, like to skip the gym, OJP, or eat whatever they want, can do so without deceiving themselves or inviting the wrath of the what the hell effect. So as long as you plan it, you know, and you say, okay, I'm allowed to, like, if I'm trying to not eat junk food anymore and I've got all these good habits set up to replace my bad food habits, You know, you could give like Yeti Dude is, so I'm vegan for all kinds of reasons, but it stemmed from health stuff originally. So Yeti Dude, because he lives with me, is, you know, over time becoming more and more vegan too. But he gives himself like, he's like a weekday vegan. So he knows that like 2 days a week, he doesn't need to eat vegan. And that has been really beneficial for him to sustain all the other days of the week and not fall into the what the hell effect and all that stuff. Yes, exactly, SS. That's exactly it. It also does. It frees us up from maybe feeling bad about it, which is so crucial, so helpful. Yeah. So that is like the bulk of what I had for the habits. Oh, but like I said, image change. Right, yes. You can join us in Habitica. So this is one of the ways that our community hangs out when I'm not streaming. And if you're not familiar with Habitica, I'll show it to you right now. SS is our newest member. It's super exciting. Here we go. So some of the things that I love about Habitica is it's free, which is awesome. Their tagline is gamify your life. So for us gamers, I really like it. You get an avatar and you choose your character class once you hit a certain level, and you set up your habits that you're trying to build over time, the actions you're going to take daily, and then you can have a to-do list. And as you do them and you check them off, you get gold, you get random drops, and the drops have to do with hatching animals and eventually being able to ride them and all kinds of really cool things. And then once you are fortunate to be part of a party, which of course is what I'm offering to you guys, thank you for sharing, Mrs. Scott. You work together to do quests, which are taking down bosses for rewards. And when you do your habits, the boss gets damaged. When you miss and you don't do it for the day, yes, smarty girl, do. When you miss, the boss does damage to your entire party. So it's built-in accountability. SS, I'm so glad it's helping. So yeah, it's a good way to it's just, if you want support and community around building habits and you love to game, I can't recommend Habitica enough. I actually talked to them recently about what we're doing, and anyways, they were super generous. They gave me a whole set of gems for me to be able to create a guild, which I plan to do in the future, and that'll allow us that when we can only have so many people in our party, and when we reach that number, and I still want people to be involved, I'm going to create a guild because of the generosity of Habitica. That's going to be free for us, which is super cool. So they're really good people, and I mean there are kinds of people, right? So I can't say enough about it. There's yeah, I want to, I'm rethinking how I'm using Habitica based on what we just learned. So once I do my columns of the habits I want to get rid of, the habits I want to build, and the cues, I'm going to somehow use that to restructure what I'm inputting into my dailies and my habits. And once I've done that, I'll share it with you guys and get your feedback and see like what improvements you like, you know, help you ask you guys to help me improve it. And then that way we can, you know, if you like that system, you could adopt it too. And I would have a way of like teaching it. So that's where I want to go with it. But yeah, so this is Habitica. And if you want to join us, I have to invite you to the party, so you have to reach out to me. I don't have like a great way of reaching out to you unless you accept whispers. So that would also work if you just let me know you're interested, or you could email me punchlifeback@thematrixguard.com. Oh, cool. All right, smarty girl. I will send you an invite. I love it. I will send you an invite. And then if you don't get it or it's glitchy, let me know. Definitely let me know and I'll fix it. I'll get it fixed. Yeah, very cool. Oh, this is exciting. I know, you won't be the noob. Yes. Awesome. So, what else? Woo! Yeah, like, so Smarty Girl, if you want to invite your girlfriend who's helping you with, like, the small changes, she's totally welcome. Like, the more the merrier in this, for sure. And that, like, likewise for all of you guys. If you want to share this, invite people, like, it's only going to help us out and help us be more accountable and have more fun together, so sweet. Oh my gosh. Okay, so, wow, I only have 5 minutes left. So, I'll leave it up to you guys. What would you like to do to wrap up? Do you want to do our gratitude power up? Or, yay, Smarty Girl, let me know if she wants an invite. Or our awareness power up where we do a 5-minute guided meditation. What would you like? And then we're gonna raid somebody. Oh, thank you, SS. Yes, absolutely. The other thing you could do is if you did the scaling question at the beginning where you said, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how you were feeling, recheck in with that and find how you're feeling now. And it's just something I was curious about. So I was like an 8, like a 7 or an 8. I'm definitely like a 10 now because you guys are joining me in Habitica and I got to talk about something I love with people that I really enjoy. So I definitely felt a bump in my well-being in the positive direction. So yeah, thank you for reminding me, SS. Yay! So that's, it's not that I don't like, so I obviously very much want everybody to walk away from this feeling a little bit better than they did before I started streaming, right? Like I do a lot of things that are meant to help us boost our positive emotions, which is a key part of our well-being. That being said, in no way do I want to imply that we all need to be happy all the time, right? Or we all need to feel good all the time. We can still experience well-being even when we're in pain, like when we're feeling bad or angry. So, and I can get into why that is true later on another stream. But just so you know, I feel like I have to say that because I don't want to feed into this kind of this limiting belief that I think a lot of us tend to have about, like, if we're not happy, we're bad, right? And that's just not true. So, oh no, the cold. Aww. Yay! That's so, thank you guys. This is the best. Like, this is the best reinforcement. I do appreciate it. If you ever have like constructive feedback, you can share it in chat or you can email it to me. I really want what I'm doing to reflect what you guys care about, what you want to hear about, and how you like to talk and all that kind of stuff. So I live off of feedback, whether it's good or it's bad. So I appreciate both. Okay, so let's just do our gratitude practice since I didn't see anybody. Yeah, we'll do a quick gratitude practice while maybe if Mr. Yeti any of my mods, if you want to find somebody that we're going to raid and start getting that set up and ready, and then we'll do after our gratitude practice. So, All right, guys, so what was the best thing that happened to you yesterday? Feel free to put any of this in chat. I had a really nice conversation with the fairy godmother, and I was talking to her while I was sitting outside in the sunshine next to my pond, and it was amazing. That was my best thing yesterday. And for those of you that are newer, we do, I like Professor Berman, let's do it. We do gratitude as a technique to boost our positive emotions. There's a lot of evidence behind behind how this is beneficial and all kind of stuff. So it's why we take the time to do it. That would be great. Yes, that is now my best thing for yesterday. Nice. What stream was it, SS? I want to check it out. Ooh, compliments. Yay. All right, keep them rolling in. The next question is, what are 3 things that you're grateful for right now? And this is the heart of gratitude. This is the step that you can always do on your own any time of day, and it's going to be beneficial for you. So 3 things that you're grateful for right now. I'm super grateful for each and every one of you. This has been really rewarding to have these conversations with you. I'm grateful that I'm not as sick as Yeti Dude. I'm grateful that I have for the new party invites to Habitica, and I'm grateful for the recovery dharma and this idea of what the research says around mental illness affecting like habit building. So I'm grateful for all of that stuff. That is just the power of our brains coming together. I'm just super grateful for. Oh, Zeke. Awesome. That is actually a really good like way to describe like Zeke in general and a lot of his like fundraising casts and stuff, like cute and very disgusting. Yes. Oh, I love it. I love these. Wow, yes, yes, yes. Oh, 3 kitties. Aw, scrunchy. This is why cats don't like me, because I just want to squeeze them. All right, so what 3 things would make today great? So these are things that you have control over. So, eating an entire Pringles can is going to make my day great because I've planned that. It's happening. I'm ridiculous, you guys. Having the afternoon to myself to be able to focus on projects that I just don't want to be distracted on. That's going to make today great. And going for a walk. That always makes the day great, and I don't always do it. Big bar of chocolate. I'm picturing it like really big and yummy. Oh. All right, guys. Last but not least is if you want to set an intention for the rest of your day, that is always something that can be a little bit of a boost. So for me, it's I am present. I am present.